Yeah.
Right, start.
Flashed on me. I was like, "What's his shoes on to come here?"
So
I went over and met with my,
Are we ready?
yeah, I guess
Okay.
the
On the
guy
dot
at
here.
my place.
Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and start.
He's leaving at
Oh.
that, you know, the time.
And we're gonna go ahead and start the meeting.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, you're good. Thank you.
All right, so yeah, gonna start off with call to order. Start off, I'm Chair Kevin Wyckoff, and we'll just go around the room.
Jim Keough.
Barry Montgomery.
Head home.
Dave Shipley.
Jen Burbage, Director of Parks, Culture, and Recreation.
And
Kimberly
online.
Getz.
All right, thank you. And then second order of business is the land acknowledgement. I've asked Gary to read that.
Sure thing. We, the city of Lacey, are on the ancestral land of the tribal people of the Treaty of Medicine Creek, including the Nisqually Indian Tribe and Squaxin Island Tribe. We acknowledge and remember those tribal people not recognized today who were absorbed or relocated into other tribes for survival. We recognize the ancestors and their descendants who are still here. We recognize and respect the tribal people of the Treaty of Medicine Creek as the traditional stewards of this land since time immemorial, and their role today in taking care of these lands in perpetuity. We recognize and have the responsibility to call attention to the histories of dispossession, forced removal, and abridged treaty rights that allowed our nation, state, and city to develop as they have today. We recommend that community members read the Medicine Creek Treaty of 1854.
Great, thanks. Next we have the approval of the agenda. Has everybody had a chance to take a look? Great. I'll take a
I move that we accept the approval agenda.
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Next is the meeting minutes.
Chair, we do need to ask if there's any opposed.
Oh, is there any opposed? Okay,
Then you would state that the motion carried if you felt it did.
the motion is carried. So on to approval of the January 21st meeting minutes. It's been a minute. I've had a chance to read that.
Stimulating reading.
It always is. Do I have a motion to approve the meeting minutes?
I so move to approve the minutes of January 21, 2026.
I will second.
Okay. Do we have any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Then, okay.
I abstain. I wasn't there.
Was I there? That was a while ago.
Yeah.
So do we have any public comment?
We do have someone, did you decide whether you wanted to comment?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, come on up to the table. And
Hello, good evening. My name is TJ Tenari. I'm a resident of Lacey since 2011. I am currently a candidate for the Evergreen MPA program this fall. Awaiting on that decision, but I formally applied for, I heard there was an opening position for the Lacey Historical Commission position, and I'm excited about the museum and 60th anniversary coming up, and I hope to be a part of that success and hope to learn from you all tonight. Appreciate it. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Thanks for your interest.
Great, thanks.
And may I say, as an Evergreen MPA alum, I think that would be fabulous to have another greener on the commission. So good luck with your application.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Go do it.
Fighting gooey ducks.
And the stepchildren, the Sankofa birds. Up in Tacoma, that's where I graduated from. So then I guess we're on to, there's no online comment or anything. Right? Okay, so on to business items. So we have recent acquisitions. Jen has some.
great, good evening, commissioners. Yep, I'm happy to keep that one acquisition. Let me just share my screen here. It's in your packet, and Our museum curator is recommending this for the collection. It is some photographs. So 2 photographs of the front of the Patterson Lake roller skating rink. And 2 Lacey School faculty photographs, one from 1955 and one from 1956. Relation to the mission, these are photographs of Lacey places and people. And relation to the collection, this will add to our resort and Lacey School collections. And these are photos that we don't already have.
2 comments. Columbia Magazine just came out with an issue on 2 roller rinks. One in Portland, which is Oaks Park. And I can't remember the other one. But anyway, also, is it Patterson or Pattison?
It is both. One is a historical name and one is the current name.
Okay, so it goes
I don't
by,
know which is
it goes
which, I
by
know
an
which.
ER? Does it go by an ER currently?
No, it's Patterson now,
Okay,
because, yeah, remember the Patterson Park homeowners association.
okay.
There you go.
And I wasn't aware that it ever have a different name, but I also have seen that confusion a bunch, so.
I learned it in proofing the museum panels for the current exhibits.
Well, now I have a rabbit hole to look down at why it's both.
Well, it makes sense that the other spelling was back then, if it's Pattison now, so.
Okay. So with that, I guess, and that's the only thing?
Yep.
Those 2 things, okay, so I guess we need a motion to approve the acquisitions as presented.
So
I'll make-
moved.
Oh, Kimberly,
Okay, Kimberly.
do we have a second?
Sure, I'll second.
Okay, do we have any discussion?
I'm glad to see the acquisitions. It's a nice addition. Get those kind of things.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? None? Seeing none, motion passes. Our next item of discussion is talk about the Ken Balsley Lacey Historian of the Year coming up.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm sure many of you have probably seen this press release that went out on March 2nd about this for the Historian of the Year nomination. There was also an article in the Jolt. We also we have someone here who's a prior recipient. So Paul Webb, thanks for being here. So we are accepting applications through March 31st. And those of you that have been on the board before will remember this process. I did include the Historian of the Year policy and the nomination form in your packet. Hopefully everyone's had a chance to read those. And so we're encouraging you or anyone who might be watching to nominate someone who you think might meet the criteria for that award. And so then what'll happen next is that once we get those nominations in, we will prepare those for you all for your April meeting, and then you all would select the recipient. And then we would take that winner and recipient to the May council meeting. So that's the process. And I know a lot of you have been through this before, some of you multiple times. So happy to answer any questions that you might have, but certainly don't want to go into detail if it's not needed. So
Yep.
kind of the gist.
Anyway, have any questions, I guess, for the newer commissioners about that process?
Oh, when in May will you be doing the award?
So we are scheduled for, let me just check my calendar real quick here. Maybe.
19.
Thank you. May 19th,
Okay.
Repeat the date.
May 19th.
Thank you.
Yeah, and that'll be the council meeting where we're also celebrating May being History Month. And so our museum curator will be giving a presentation that night and be presenting that award. The council actually presents the award, but museum curator, it'll be part of the museum curator's presentation for that night. Also that night will be the Jacob Smith House nomination. to the council. And so it'll be just kind of a reminder. The next meeting will be really important to have a quorum. It always is important to have a quorum. It'll be extra important because of those two different things, the Historian of the Year award and the nomination for Jacob Smith House. If you recall, we didn't finish that one last time because there was still one more notice step that we needed to do, and that's happening right now, so. But back to the Historian of the Year. Are there any other questions I can answer about it? Okay,
Have you had any nominations so far?
we don't that I know of have any nominations so far.
Yep.
Still got a couple weeks.
The date of the next meeting, I would have to look up, but if you have it, I'll write it in my notes. The date for that next meeting.
Yeah.
April 15th.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Great.
That's the 16th and the 17th.
See if I type it.
And you had mentioned earlier, do you have any thoughts on that? If I guess part of the other problem with that is that we've had such a good group of people that we've nominated and presented the award to, but in awarding people, then we diminish our potential future ones. So
Very true. It doesn't mean that people aren't working on their nominations, right?
yeah.
It just means that you haven't received any yet, so.
Okay.
Question though.
Yep, if that's the last of that, then I guess the next thing we had is Jen talking about the America's 250th anniversary.
Great, yes, thank you. I have some slides here. Share. And basically, I just want to provide a little bit of an update. As you know, this is one of the items on your work plan. So I wanted to let you know what staff is working on here. So as you probably all know, America will be celebrating its 250th anniversary on July 4th of this year, marking a quarter millennium since the Declaration of Independence. And there'll be nationwide events, exhibitions, and community programs happening. Our museum staff have been working on a Washington State effort in conjunction with other agencies. And that state effort is called Out of Many, One.
Click the top left, that little list thing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So this is an initiative inviting museums to partner with their communities to identify and exhibit an object, image, or artwork from their collections that reflects the American experience. Items selected by participating organizations will be represented on our interactive online map and be displayed in their community in the summer of 2026. So that's the state effort. And the state of that state effort, there have been 3 themes identified for America 250. And so these are the themes here that inspired staff's selection of the items from the Lacey Museum. And what I think is really neat is that the museum staff have selected 9 pieces from our collection that we believe represent these themes. And it's really important to us and to our museum staff to also pick things that we think that our community would relate to. But we definitely want to make sure that the community is involved and is on the same page. And so they're going to be invited to vote out of the 9 items, which I'll show you next. They're going to vote on the 5 that'll be displayed at City Hall. Exhibit. So these are the items. There's our beloved Mount Rainier mosaic art piece, and this is one that is currently hanging at the Virgil S. Clarkson Senior Center. They selected a photo of the Medicine Creek Treaty Tree, a Red Cross uniform, some Asian scarves, lumber from Union Mills, a jazz festival related item, Angus McDonald's diploma, and Angus McDonald was the first student at St. Martin's University. A t-shirt from the 1984 It was the first women's marathon trials. And then a collection of buttons highlighting Black and women's history. And here's the timeline for the project. So this week, they'll be completing photos and descriptions for each of these 9 items and creating the survey that's gonna go out to the community. And then the next week, survey will go out in the museum newsletter and social media and posted in the library with a QR code. Folks will have until April 9th to fill out the survey on what they would like to see. And then May 14th, we'll have the exhibit labels ready to print, and then the installation will be June 30th at City Hall.
And that would be the 5 items.
And that'll be the 5 items, yeah. And actually, this, it's going to be just at City Hall, not the museum for this one. So my apologies for that little typo right there.
You're forgiven.
Thank you. Yeah, so happy to answer questions that you might have.
When do we see the 5 or 9 photo items?
The 9, let's see. Back to that timeline here. So the 9 items are going to go out in the survey, and so that survey will go out starting March 26th. Very soon, next week.
And when
And we'll make sure all the commissioners see that.
when do people have to have it in?
So folks need to have it in by April 9th.
Okay, that's what I thought I saw, but thought I'd double check that.
Yep, yeah. And then, once we know which 5 items, staff will be getting the labels all ready, the exhibits ready.
Mhm.
And then that'll go in the case that's down by the parks counter down there. So people can come in and see it.
How are you distributing out the survey?
So the survey is gonna go out in the museum newsletter. It's gonna go out on social media. And it's going to be posted in the library with a QR code.
So city manager can put it in his mailer that he sends around?
What's that?
Is the city manager gonna put it in his mailer that he sends around?
I'm not sure the timing of that, but we can
Okay.
definitely check. Yeah,
Cause it goes out every week or 2.
we can certainly check into that.
Yeah, and also probably share that with our friends with the Lacey Historic Society, because I know they've been doing really good with their social media reach.
I'm sorry, Steve.
With your social media reach, some of the stuff you guys have been putting out, maybe you can help us spread the word about that.
Oh, certainly.
Great ideas, yeah. But yeah,
Okay, that's great.
thank you.
I guess I'd take us to the Lacey Historic market map layer.
Sure thing. This is also an item on your work plan. And this one, we're needing a little direction from the commission on what you'd like to see for this project. I'm going to share another presentation. Oops, not that one. That's not the one. Bear with me here. There it is. Okay, so like I said, this is an item on your work plan. It's an opportunity for you to discuss here tonight what you'd like to do with this project and help determine some of the next steps. So I put together some slides to be able to show you the current and upcoming Lacey historic markers that we already have and the ones we have planned. And I also included some slides that show some of the educational signage in Lacey. And so, like I said, we're looking for direction on what you'd like to see for the project, and also we may need to change the name of the project a little bit. It is called the Lacey Historic Markers Map Layer, but there could be a few different ways to look at this. So we'll go through the conversation and then make a decision there. But historic markers can be a historic site, or they can be an informational and educational, even if they're not a historic site. So that might be something to include in the map. There's also historic plaques and other signs that might not be considered a marker per se, but you all may want to highlight them on an inventory and a map to share with the public. So some historic commissions have created an inventory of historic sites that deal with events, architecture, people, geology, and the like. So just want to kind of see what you all are interested in doing for our community. So I'm going to show you the historic markers that we currently have. So this is the Chambers Homestead marker. And it's on Prestwick Lane Southeast, west of Rainier Road Southeast. In Indian Summer. And then this is the Himes Fleetwood Homestead site marker. This is at Woodland Creek Park near the community center by Longs Pond. This one is the Chambers marker. It's located at 1650 Circle Lane Southeast. And then we've got three that are very close together. They're along the Karen Fraser Woodland Trail over by the Lacey Depot. And this is one of them, which is the Lacey Plywood Plant Historic Site. Was it about the history of the site there? And then of course the Lacey Train Depot Historic Site. This one, the Lacey Rotary Club did, and it is next to the other markers by the train themed playground that they had donated $50,000 as a legacy project and really wanted this marker near that site. And this is something that they worked on with our museum curator to make sure everything was accurate, that shows their history alongside the city's. And this is the Jackson Family Goose Pond history marker. And it's also on the Karen Fraser Woodland Trail, but it's over alongside Woodland Creek Park, so further east on the trail. We do have some upcoming historic markers scheduled. So the Jacob Smith House is one, Holman Park is another, and the McKinney Building is to be determined. That will go to council next week, March 24th, for that discussion to be had at their work session. And as you know, the commission had recommended demolishing the building and putting up a historic marker in that site. And now I've got a couple of signs that are educational. You know, this one
So
obviously.
I thought we were thinking not historic, but relevant to historic site. The Bell Center's not that old, but that's certainly probably one of the main things we want to highlight with.
Right, but that's a good point. And it has some historic photos and this sign that's, you know, Destination Lacey, right? So it's a significant spot. And it's something that people can be educated, even if the museum's not open, they can see these pictures when they're walking by. Visit this Destination Lacey and do a selfie and whatnot. So it's could be considered a significant and educational spot. And then of course the rack kiosk is obviously a really good example of educational piece that it's open for park goers to be educated about history, particularly our local history. And then there are several historic sites in the vicinity. There's the Medicine Creek Treaty Marker, Chambers Blockhouse, Fort Eaton Monument, and Willamette Meridian, and that's pictured here. Clearbrook, oh my goodness, words. The Clearbrook marker. I think that one is still standing, but we need someone to go check. And then the Lacey Historic Register properties with their associated plaques. So on that note, here's a picture of one of the historic plaques. This one's the Groom Turner House, but this is, you know, noted as a historic site. Some of our registered properties have plaques, some of them don't, as you know. So we've worked through that. The other thing I wanted to note about this is that they are at private residences, so there would need to be some consideration of that. We do end up putting that information on the website. In a map layer, So next steps would be determining the main objectives of this project. What do you want for people, right? What's the purpose behind it? Definitions would be helpful. What's considered a historic site, a marker, historic sign? We would want to define the radius or the boundaries, like how far out are you wanting to include historic sites? We would need photography of all the locations and making sure that they're there and that there's no damages, or if there are damages, to report back those back. And then ultimately, of course, including that map on the website and determining what type of layers. So that was a lot of information. Definitely answer questions and see what your comments are about this.
Has anything, since I'm new, has anything been done on this kind of thing before? Is there any projects already done that lists some of your sites? I know you'd have historic sites that are listed on your city website.
Is it just the historic properties? I guess we should probably, we have an expert.
So there, I am familiar with the historic properties inventory GIS layer. And there is also a slightly long in the tooth parks overview map tour that is still out there in the world. Which, you know, has its whole own set of spatial data and photographs and media and website architecture that goes with it.
Accessible to the public?
Yes.
And there are some websites that are out there that include some of our stuff, but they're not our websites. And so, you know, there's different organizations that'll put together historic information, but it's not a complete Lacey, you know, list, but
In other words,
it exists.
an overlap, like a county, for an example,
Yeah.
might have a few of them.
Yeah.
That type of thing.
Mhm. Yep.
And plus there's just, yeah, some really random things that I've found. Actually, like, not so much for like Lacey, but in Lakewood, one of my things that I have bookmarked is that there's this group that they study malls. They are mall enthusiasts, and they love to talk about the history of malls. And actually, for documenting Lakewood Town Center, because that's been 4 different things. This website, I've been going back to it for many years, because these people, somehow they gathered all this information on there because they're enthusiastic about the history of malls and has some really good information there. So, I mean, yeah, there is some stuff there where you kind of just, you end up kind of finding some of that in some really good sources in some really weird places that just have nothing to necessarily do with here. But so I think there's definitely kind of a research project of just what exists out there, but also what we would want to put together. I mean, I think probably starting with the signs of just what, I guess, what would fall kind of under our general kind of thing of yeah, those signs that you mentioned, but then kind of thinking about what else could kind of, because it's also kind of that falls under that like parks, culture, and recreation kind of. There's different stuff that I think that, you know, like I can think of like some of the like the statues and stuff. Like there's the one up there by like Home Depot. It's that, or there by Slater County by the highway there. There's some
Yeah,
cool
so
things
those ones, yeah, so those statues aren't on Parks property, but we do have, there is the Gold Star Families Monument that's in Civic Plaza. That one's on Parks property. I was gonna mention too, Aaron pointed me to this, the Historical Marker Database, hmdb.org. That was one that she pointed out.
What is it called?
It's HMDB, Historical Marker Database .org. And so there's like a combination of information there. And I think you mentioned, the other one Aaron mentioned was what you said too, the Thurston County one. So.
Jim, would it be helpful to put your questions back up on the screen for the commission's deliberation?
Yeah, the next steps. Great idea. Yeah, so what would you all define as your objectives for having this? I think that will help define what you want on there, right?
Can I offer a thought here? Like, I think that I absolutely will own my tendency to be a data and systems pack rat, right? Like, I wanna accumulate things. So I would like to see a fairly holistic, map layer and associated publishing of that map layer to the public, right? In some map tour format or whatever. So if I were gonna have a preference, I would certainly say, like, don't just pick, historic signs, houses and things, but catch everything that's sort of in the Lacey living shed, if you will.
I like that phrase, yeah, I mean, yeah, I kind of think of it, because, yeah, some of the stuff that we discussed there, it'll be a bit of work to kind of get that off the ground and everything, but one of the worst things with some of this stuff is that you get that initial kind of thing done, and then it just kind of
Disappears.
yeah. People think it's really cool for a minute, and so like setting ourselves up with kind of a broad enough scope to begin with, that it can kind of continue to grow, so it'll kind of continue to get attention. And so I guess kind of that stepping almost a little bit beyond the historic commission, thinking about that, like locations that are related to parks, culture, and recreation of Lacey. Like, so having that as kind of just the main objective of a kind of a catalog of locations that are related to that, whether those are interpretive signs or historic sites or kind of that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it'd be just great to have the stuff you're talking about. I've been here 20 years, 30 years, I guess, I don't know. About 30, I guess, and, most of this I haven't heard of. I've lived right next door to some that I never heard of. I could throw a rock to it. And nobody knows about it. I don't know where you got it. Who got it to you, but you didn't know about it 6 months ago, I don't think. Some of the things that we talked tonight. And so I just think there ought to be some place where you can go get all of that. I don't know where that would be. It could be in a map, it could be in a book, something. But right now, you can't go get that. Can you?
Well,
Well, I mean, it depends.
For the fact that I've been seeking for this exact same thing that we're trying to put together, because I was interested in going to all the historic sites and signs and what have you. And I ran into problems. I found a few of the houses and pictures of the houses. But then I had the troubles, okay, now I gotta get a city map and plug in, where are these located? And I had no clue. You gave me a word tonight. And I think it's like Kester or whatever it was, for the one for Chambers.
Oh,
The county the Chambers homestead was actually created by Thurston County initially. And then you had a layover when the city of Lacey came to that site. And I couldn't remember the side name, Rainier Road, I remember, but I would absolutely love to see something that would give me a map, and with kind of similar to what you had on your kiosk, which shows you 2-3 different locations of signage or whatever, houses or whatever it was located. I think that would be a fantastic thing, and put it on a website.
Yeah, they got the trees there in that park, of all Chambers had. They burnt the house down by accident in the 20s.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is literally, I could throw a rock to that thing and I didn't know it was what it was for 10 years.
Well, what I was looking for is what are the signs that the city has and where are they located? And I had to scribble really fast because I was unfamiliar with some of these. I knew that there were some along the trail, but I had no clue where they're located. So I think would be a great start.
So I'll flip it in a slightly different direction.
Good.
It's not far from that. I spent 20 years of my career in economic development. And one of the things that I thought was always kind of interesting, and I kind of think this could play to this, is that it was always nice, like if you came into a community to visit, go out to eat, whatever you were doing, happened to be in the vicinity and you stopped in, to have something that you could look at that gave you a feel for what that community's history was. The nice thing about having a good database is topics change. Hot topics change. If you're able to kind of reproduce and say, okay, this time we're gonna focus on this item, the wood industry, sports, you pick it, we can generate a map that we can then publish and people can have and use to tool around and check out the area.
See, now you're picking it, see, one of the, I mean, I'm excited about this, I'm glad we're able to push this forward, because, and it's also part of the, being fortunate that I think 20% of the people in this meeting tonight are geographic information systems professionals, so gonna geek out on some of this, but like what you're talking about there is kind of just setting up your categories, your different ways to kind of slice and dice the data, and so that kind of that data structure, and that's where I will not go down a rabbit hole of schema definitions, and because I'll have one person that will follow me, but you know, being able to kind of, I think, define some of those kind of categories of things, because I think that, you know, I think we can at this point kind of set things up kind of broadly, and maybe Gary and I can sit down and maybe consult with Aaron and Jen some more of kind of what those kind of categories and what that kind of data structure looks like, and more focus on that kind of building the foundation to accept that information. Because there's just so many different things of like even like we have like there's the road signs where it says that like the historic names. It'd be interesting to have, you know, those kind of things included as well, and just kind of some of those kind of broad things of like, you know, how does that you know, what different kind of categories do these locations fit into? Are they related to sports history, or you know, I guess I'm trying to think of like a specific like cultural history of like, you know, if there's a, we
1999.
don't exactly have like, yeah, we don't exactly like have like Little Italy here, but you know, if there's a, if we're able to identify kind of an area of where you have, you know, a kind of a hotspot of one thing, you know, absolutely, but you know, I guess that's gonna be kind of setting that broad structure up in a way that makes sense to be able to kind of make room for kind of all that. But you know, and then from there, being able to pull in that accessory stuff like the pictures and the like those stories, being able to link to those some of those other websites as well.
So what I'm
So-
hearing is main objectives. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Good. I was just gonna give a couple other quick examples along the way. My wife and I stop in when we go to various places in the Pacific Northwest and others, and check out museums, check out visitor centers and stuff like that. Partly just because we like to tool around in towns, and partly because we want to see what other folks are doing. And the noteworthy things that I've run into, one is that oftentimes the museums have a degree of visitor center material.
Mhm.
In part because it gives people a reason to stop in. And in part because then that becomes sort of a jump off point to go do other things. And like the Chamber of Commerce Visitor Center is only open during the week, but on the weekend, which is when we've got some people around, they're not. In one example we ran into down on the coast, on the Oregon coast, was one of the areas had put together a set of scavenger hunts that had been written up by everything from a historic society to a high school class and then and basically they guided you around to looking at sites and finding things, you know, on a waterfront, up a park, you know, you name it. A trail out in the woods, so on and so forth. And it was a good way to kind of hook people again into, oh, there's stuff to do here besides just only having a flashy billboard someplace. And I lent that book to one of the museum staff just so they could sit and play with it and think about it and see if there's something that might be able to be done. But those are the kinds of things that you could play with. And the
Almost kind of just different themed
yeah,
kind of.
and it both allows people to get, like in the case of the booklet, it allowed people to learn about their own history and then write up a scavenger hunt. And so they actually had high school classes and service clubs and stuff who were doing some of that. So I think that there are some fun ways to play with this. And the idea, generally speaking, is you want people to come here and get a sense of not only the history, but a sense of what makes this community and a reason to hang around.
Tourism, last time I knew, was the #3 industry in the state of Washington. And whenever I was doing tours of the Capitol building or tours downtown of Olympia and what have you, that was one of the things that they would interest in. Where can we stay? Where can we eat? And what else is there
Right.
in the way of history? And the history is always right near the top of what are the historical sites. And invariably they ask, where are the museums?
Right.
Located.
Well, and you know, like in Olympia, I know they used to do historic home tours, and both organized ones and then just maps of ones that were in given neighborhoods.
Do we have a map of Lacey right now? I mean, can we just come down and get a map of Lacey and take it home? I don't think we can.
I'm not sure if there's a hard copy, but.
Yeah,
you could
I
look
was
online.
out this weekend in a snowstorm out here. I got way out north and I used to live out there. And right in the middle, Lacey, there's a sign Lacey. Hell, I thought it was 5 miles this side. You
Well, the
know?
boundary, yeah, jigs and jogs a little bit, so.
It's kind of a big ask.
Just like it really goes out there though. It goes a long ways. There was 3 inches of snow out there.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing for main objectives would be things of parks, culture and recreation, and of course, historical significance. A place where everything is in one spot, because you've been looking for things, right? A place for visitors to be able to see what the community is about, not just see historically
Right.
significant sites, but also to get a sense of what the community is like. And then what have I missed for objectives?
I think that makes sense for.
I hear that there's a data set that we can leverage for interactive stuff on the web, and it sounds like hard copy is also a desired output, so.
And it's probably both. I mean, I think different generations and different people use different ways of getting around.
Sure.
The problem, the hard copy, I remember getting little brochures of a walking tour of a historical neighborhood or whatever. But man, is it ever hard to keep it supplied? And always run into a monetary problem because you always got to go out and print the hard copy. I mean, I have hard copies of the historic tours that Olympia has. Every last one of them, whether it's a southeast neighborhood or west neighborhood or South Capitol neighborhood or downtown, I have them all. But finding those anymore, they're in my file, but it's hard to find. So the hard copy I find really difficult to continue.
Sure.
So I guess I almost wonder maybe just to avoid, I guess, kind of the scope creep a little bit of that, of maybe right now we kind of focus on that, that source data for that. It's something that could be used for those kind of things in the future, because some of that, if like we put it together right, then, you know, absolutely the Lacey Museum, but also that could be available for the Lacey Historic Society or, I don't know, local high school students or something like that. If, you know, anybody that really wants to use that kind of source data and can, you know, because once you have the data, then, you know, being able to drop that in and kind of do the graphic design, that's also kind of a whole separate thing. But kind of build this as a, to start as a kind of a community resource. And then how that's able to be used kind of can be the secondary part of that, if that makes sense to everyone.
To go back to your comment, if you're a member of AAA, you can still get a hold of a city map. Okay, or get a member. You can't go to an office anymore, but you can still get a paper map of Thurston County and how all the street names or all the streets of Lacey, Olympia, Tumwater and what have you.
I think that a lady told me out there about 6 months ago that they were gonna, this is the last printing of that. They're done. That they
Okay.
can't afford it and they're not gonna be doing it anymore.
Okay,
And that's, that was just the lady
Yeah.
at the counter, but she's been there for 20 years.
well, the office is no longer in business, but you
Mhm.
can go online.
Oh,
Last time I knew.
Yeah.
Times change.
yeah.
So,
Should we move on to the next? Okay, so providing definitions, so what I heard, I had historic site, historic marker, historic sign. It sounds like you all might be interested in the historic, like the historic street signs being.
I guess, yeah,
on
for,
that
at
map as
this
well.
point, I kind of think, yeah, more of, I don't think we're at a point to necessarily exclude anything, of just things that are related to that kind of broader mission, finding locations that are related to that broader mission.
Are there very many of them? I know there's one for Stilican Boulevard.
I don't know.
Yes. I know there's one for Stilican Boulevard because I saw the brown sign.
Yeah,
And there's a brown sign on my side over by Marvin Road and sort of near Home Depot. There is a brown sign there and I don't recognize, I don't, Gonzalez or something like that.
Yeah. yeah, no, I imagine there's probably somebody that has a contact with Lacey Public Works and the Streets Department that,
Yeah, I
They
mean,
probably
you've got
have some-
Rodeo Drive
something-
down here,
What's it, which one?
Rodeo Drive down here, down just south.
Okay.
And
then
then,
who
Off
produces,
Gulf
who okayed that or who?
that came up actually a while ago, because there was the. I'm still actually kind of murky, to not to totally change the subject, but there's that, when they put the urgent care there right by,
Yeah.
golf club, and it became sort of the driveway for the urgent care, but they were concerned about that was
Right.
racing. I don't remember quite whatever happened to all that, but, or even how we define our role with that, but,
yeah, I think to keep us, just kind of keep
Yeah.
us on track, we can bring back some information on that. Are there any definitions that you think need to be in there that you can think of right now? This won't be your last chance, but.
How about an inventory of the markers?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a great idea.
yeah, I think that kind of gets some stuff, and maybe Garrett and I can schedule some time offline to, outside of this, we can kind of work on the data structure that would make the most sense to as a broad foundation to capture all of that.
And what about, what are your thoughts on radius or boundaries? Like, are you wanting to include historic sites that are in the area outside Lacey city limit and UGA necessarily, or
I
would
think
that?
maybe the UGA would make the most sense, because part of it is, yeah, I mean, what's historic, what's Lacey can get pretty murky, so I think, I mean, I spent a lot of time on on what's technically Olympia history, but that's because mostly related to music, so that I'm not gonna spend time with that here, so cutting it off, I think at the UGA makes probably the most sense to give us broadest.
Some parameter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and then.
elements in.
Yeah, and then we would, so we'll put together some information to get this to the next step. But we will be looking for help with photographing locations, maybe finding some of them, those sorts of things, so.
Finding old
If you're
photographs?
no, photographing all the locations, making sure they're present and without damage.
I'm trying to do
So
that
if-
once I get a hold of the list.
We're making the list
I'll
together.
show you the pictures from the kiosk at the rack if you want me to.
I have those ones. Thank you though. And then of course to include it on the website as a next step, but yeah, any other thoughts?
I think that, I think that makes sense of, yeah, if we can kind of get the foundation together, then I imagine we could probably just show up here with a list of things, and folks here will be chomping at the bit to go on their own little scavenger hunt.
my goal is to go to every historic site and every historic building and every historic sign and take photographs of it. So that's was one of my goals. That's why I was asking, where are the locations? And when you get done here, you have to give me the address of some of the ones.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
Or you can send it to me later.
we can, they're in this presentation, so we can definitely send this out.
Send me the presentation.
Got it.
That okay?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Alright, I guess that kind
Thank
of,
you so much. Yeah, it's exciting.
Also, we do upload the presentations to that link after the meeting, but we can also email it.
Do what again?
That same link where the agenda is found, once the meeting happens, I put the presentations on there.
Okay.
basically it's part of the minutes.
It is not. It's
It's
just
sort of
separate,
the, yeah.
In other words, I can go onto the city website and look it up the minutes or,
The same links that I emailed you for your packet,
yes?
the presentation is now on there,
Okay. How soon?
right now. Did it 5 minutes ago.
So,
Okay.
so I was gonna say, the addresses are in the notes.
Oh, no.
So we will give us a day. I'll get the addresses on the slide itself
Okay,
and then we'll put it on there. How's that sound?
sounds good.
Okay.
I love sending messages to them. How do you open this up?
Well, thank you so much for your feedback with all of that.
Big thing. Okay, so I guess then we can get going with reports. First we have the Lacey Historic Society.
Thank you. Mr. Chair and Commission, we're having us here to talk about the society. I'm Paul Webb.
Hey, John, camera over there, do you mind? It's not
You
on
can
there.
go on the head of the table.
Oh, okay.
I guess it would help if we had a chair there.
Oh,
Okay.
Oh, it's just gonna stand. You wanna sit?
No, that's okay.
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 I'll stand. If I sit, I might disappear. Anyway, yeah, we've been doing a lot of society. Our meeting location has changed. So if you decide to come to one of our meetings, we're meeting at the Capital Development office, which is just on the other side of the Hallmark over here at South Sound Center. We start at 3 p.m. They ask me what day of the week. I'll find that and get it back to you. But we meet monthly, basically. Except I think we were off last month for some reason, but generally speaking, we meet every month. Our membership, we reported, we had 47 paid actually, but after the first of the year, that's when our dues are due and not everybody's paid up yet, but we're just shy of 150 members. And we're pretty happy with that because when most of us started on the board over there, we had just crossed that line of 100 and headed south, but now we reversed it and we've got a pretty good membership. And of course, our signature project that we've been working on is the Dr. Ehlers statue. And we made a conscious decision here a few months ago to not go out and actively fundraise until we knew where it was going to be located. And so we started working with the city, and Jen was part of some of those discussions, I think, early on. And one of the things that they've been working on is a policy, an arts policy, and so that there's a process of how they evaluate different art that comes to the city as a possible inclusion. And so our group got to sit down with, and I can't remember the name of the lady that they sat down with, but John Jajix and Margie Wiley and Ed Sorger sat down with them and went through some of the draft policy and had some ideas, maybe what they could include in it. They're really, really great that we got that opportunity to do that. We really appreciated that. And so they're going to have the policy done, it looks like, if I understood correctly, it's April or May sometime. Policy will be done, and then we will have an application process. We will know then what the process is that we need to go through to submit and get that in front of the city. I don't know if you're aware, but our greatest spot we could put it in, we think, would be the inside of the community center. got some ideas on that, whether that'll be allowed or not, we're not sure. There are a number of other possibilities, should that not be one, but I think what's gonna happen is we're gonna be able to work within the confines of this policy and have it here in the city somewhere. And so ideally the community center, that's what we're gonna shoot for, but we'll have to go through the process and see how it comes out. In the meantime, I know I was concerned about this thing losing steam. None of us are getting any younger, and yeah, we want to keep it moving because as you know, I have brought the statue with me in previous meetings. And I try to take it with me wherever I go, but I was running out of time today, so I didn't have time to gather Doc up. But we do have a rendition of the statue, stands about yay tall. It was built by Lacey Makerspace for us. It's a great statue. His daughter Susan has seen it and believes that it's really a good likeness of him. So we're not going to have to change a whole lot whenever we actually put this thing together. We estimate we're going to have be somewhere between 50 and 60,000 by the time we have the statue made, by the time we have the plinth that it sits on put in, and certainly we want to have some plaques that explains Doc and why he deserves this commemoration, and a little plaque that talks about the people that gave us the money to do it. And so we're getting out to some of the service clubs just to let them know who we are and what we're doing. We're gonna probably hit them up for money at some point. And, if you know people on a face-to-face basis, it's harder for them to tell you no. And so we're getting out there now and showing them who we are and what our plan is and why we believe Doc deserves this tribute. Also working with the tribe. We've been out to the tribe twice now. John Jajix and I are kind of the reps that go out there. We've had lunch with the elders, and we actually went in front of the council one time and showed them what we were doing and want their input to this process, because I don't know if you're aware, but Doc was very active with the tribe when he first started here. So to him, they were just part of the neighborhood, and he opened his office any day of the week, any hour of the day. Responded with the fire department. If the fire department needed, of course, most of the paid people here, they were Doc's patients. And so he was the kind of guy that if they were in medical trouble, he wanted to know about it. So the fire department would call him anyway. He'd call the fire department because they had the oxygen and some of the first aid equipment. He didn't carry oxygen with him. And so heart attacks need oxygen. So he'd call us in when he became aware of those things. The fire department. And so he was pretty active with them, and they had their insurance plan that a lot of doctors didn't want to use. They didn't like dealing with the federal government. Doc used the Indian insurance health plan all the time, and they still remember him for that. And so we'll be going out to the tribe again this week, John Jajix and I, just to tell them where we're at in the process and what's going on with it. And we're just keeping people aware of it we're trying to spread that out a little bit as we get to more of the service clubs and whatnot. So we're going to start knocking on doors for raising some money here at some point in the not distant future. I feel like we're moving ahead and getting closer.
What do you contribute the increase in membership?
What's that?
What do you contribute to having the increase in membership?
Cajoling our friends.
Okay.
I had coffee with a bunch of old ex-Lacey or retired Lacey firefighters. And so I started handing out, here, $10, give me your money and sign up. And so, and all of us have done that, and it's just networking like that. And
excellent.
These people are all interested in Lacey and the history of Lacey. And so this gives them an outlet to help us, And so let's see, any other questions on Doc, by the way? Okay. One other thing, our board, we got to 15 board positions. We've got 13 of them, 12 of them filled. Well, 13 of them filled. We just brought on a guy by the name of Mike Pettit, who's our 13th member. We still have 2 that we need to fill, and we're working diligently to see that happens. If there aren't any other questions, that completes my report. Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you. All right, next on the list, we have the Policy and Steps Committee.
remains on hiatus.
Okay, thank you. And without, we have commissioners reports, so we'll just start with Kimberly since she's.
The legislature has adjourned and I get some of my life back again. So we'll be looking forward to joining you regularly for the rest of the year. Thanks.
Great, thanks. Dave?
I've been having fun trying to find historic signs in Lacey. I started with the rack and the signs there are fantastic.
Ed, you have anything to report? Ed?
It's the best meeting I've ever been to.
Nothing to report.
Nothing to report. Okay, yeah, really covered it here. I don't have anything to report. I guess. Don't have my calendar up, but next month I'm gonna be going to, there's the event that's being put on by the city manager for the advisory board, kind of introducing who we are, so I think that'll actually be after our next meeting, but other than that, I don't have anything to report. So with that, we got getting with her museum curator hat.
Great, and that's the State of the City and Advisory Boards Appreciation at, that's on April 29th. Yes, so the museum curator report, history talk tomorrow, March 19th. Drew Cooks will present Chief Leschi, Governor Isaac Stevens, and the Medicine Creek Treaty of 1854. That starts at 6:30. That's here at City Hall. And then the next one is Thursday, April 9th. We'll have Janine Gates presenting her book, Saving the Nisqually Delta, and we'll speak about the historical pressures to industrialize the Delta. Gates will discuss the key moments in Washington state environmental history and why the data is still threatened by urban and industrial encroachment. So 2 great history talks coming up. The craft projects have been set for spring and early summer. That's free for all ages. You can drop in during museum hours. And so for March, we've been making paper bees. They're really cute. There's been a lot of participation and really fun activity. In April, it will be wooden egg painting. In May, cherry blossom trees. And in June, we'll have jellyfish. So that's really exciting. On a different note, the Bowker House tour, that's gonna be April 18th, as you know, at 10:00 a.m. I'd like to confirm who is going to be going for that day so we can figure out our logistics for travel.
Which house?
That's the Bowker House tour. That's April 18th at 10:00 a.m. And we are going to meet here at City Hall and we'll take the city vans. And so I just need to know how many people are going. You
What time again?
can confirm, 10:00?
Departure from here?
Yes,
What was the date again?
April 18th, Saturday.
That's right.
I'll be able to make that.
I already have on my calendar.
Great, that's what we like to hear. We did already tell you about it. We just want to confirm.
Put me down.
Okay,
I plan to be there.
okay.
I do too.
Commissioner Montgomery?
I'm so sorry. April.
Okay, 18th. And while you're checking, Commissioner Getz? If he,
In your meeting.
so maybe
Maybe.
here at City Hall, yeah,
Yes,
okay.
I will be there.
5 yes, 1 maybe. Great. So we will get you some more information about that, transportation and logistics and whatnot. And that's all for the museum curator report.
Okay, next, the director's report.
Director's report. Okay, have a couple of different items, but first, first one is that we got the addresses into the presentation, but we do like to publish the exact presentation as we showed it. So I'm going to bring those slides back up really quickly with the correct mouse. Let's say I share first. Thank you for your patience with us. There it is. Okay, so here's locations that are listed now in the slides. So once you
Okay.
go to that link, you'll be able to see those.
I can look at it tonight when I get home.
Look at it in 5 seconds.
Yeah, that's flashlight.
No, not on site. Start with the computer.
Okay, my next item is,
Curiosity, do each of the historic houses have markers?
so not all of them have markers.
Okay,
So
does the city pay for them or does the owner have to pay for the markers?
currently, the city pays for it, or we can, write a grant to get that paid for. But that's something that we might need to look at changing as we grow our inventory,
Okay,
because.
some cities will pay for it, some cities don't, or counties or
Yeah.
whatever.
Currently, the city is responsible for paying or getting a grant,
Okay,
but moving forward, Aaron and I have talked about it, it could get quite costly if we end up adding a lot of homes, so we may have to change that. But currently, yes.
Cause eligibility is basically at this point built before 1976, right? That 50 years. Just to be eligible for listing on that, so yeah, that's a.
Yeah.
When you're talking.
And looking at the inventory
If
and,
we were talking, 100 years, that's a small list, but yeah, houses built before 1976. Anywhere in America, that's a big list.
every ranch town house gets to have a marker.
Yes,
so it could be a lot. Could be a lot.
or maybe we'll just, for the development, we'll just give one blanket one for the.
That was one of the standard jokes, was that every house that was built in the fifties gets to have a marker now, and there's zillions of them. So the idea was to do it as a neighborhood rather than each individual house that's in the neighborhood.
Gotcha. All right, so I do have an update about the food truck plaza. So as you all know, the temporary food truck plaza is at the new museum site next to the Lacey Depot currently. And this location is also referred to as Depot Park at the Lacey Depot. But I wanted to let you know, in the very near future, the city's gonna be releasing a request for qualifications for a feasibility study to determine the longer term location for the food trucks. In this RFQ, we're gonna be asking for 3 locations to study that are centrally located in Lacey within either the Depot District or Lacey Midtown. And one of the locations out of those 3 that's gonna be evaluated will be the current city-owned site. And that's gonna include across Clearbrook, there's a coffee stand, we call it the Triangle. That's also city-owned property, and that's a potential location. There's some challenges there, but that's a potential location for the food truck plaza. But we're also gonna look at, the entire city property. And then looking specifically at that future museum site, the evaluation of that one must assess if the existing food truck plaza could be complementary and compatible with the approved museum site plan and associated Heritage Capital Project grant requirements. It will also include an analysis of the food trucks as an interim use on the current site until the museum is constructed. And then it would also identify site design and estimated costs of improvement within the planned parking area specifically, that would support future construction. So in other words, if it's possible to actually build out the parking lot for the museum in the process, then that's a possibility for that. And again, the food
Kimberly.
trucks would only be there until such time the museum is built. Yes, Kim?
Okay,
Or-
so 2 things.
Yes.
One, can we, I don't know how to say this politically, but, we have to needs to take into account the fact that the analysis needs to account for the fact that finding, the existing site is good to go long-term means we have to pay back all the money that we've gotten so far to all the grant money that we've gotten. Because if we don't build the museum, we have to give the money back. So, I mean, I know we've got a lot of new members on the commission. So I think just making sure that that is an element of any analysis. And second, did we ever finalize, didn't the city buy, or doesn't the city own the site across the street to I get all turned around there because the road curves
Or,
the
towards St. Martin's or not towards St. Martin's?
away from St. Martin's towards the post office. The
so north.
the
South.
grass and trees
South of Lacey?
South.
south.
South
Okay.
of the museum site. The city does not own that property.
So we
At
did
one
not
point,
buy that.
at one point it was for sale. I don't know if it still is or not, honestly.
Okay.
But no, that's not a city-owned property. The one next to where the post office business complex is.
Across the street, yes. So the restaurant, coffee stand, museum site, grassy trees, grassy and treed lot.
5375 Lacey Boulevard.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, it's the south.
Okay.
That's
I didn't remember whether or not the city had ever gotten around to buying that. I know that that was the discussion at one point, especially
Mhm.
you know, as parking location for overflow for the museum.
Yep. I do
So
remember that too, yeah. No, the city never purchased that one.
okay.
But I was just gonna say, to your point about the Heritage Capital Project grant, so the part of the assessment would be that all of the Heritage Capital Project grant requirements would be met. So that's part of that's a huge consideration with this. So I just wanted to make sure. Point that out.
I don't know how you make this. I don't see how that's physically possible to do. You can't build a museum on the site and use the site permanently for a food truck depot.
Well, if it's built on the site, it would only be there until the museum is built. That was the third.
So then
bullet
it's
point.
not permanent.
Right. It's just a lot, that one would be, yes, good point. That would just, if that one of the three is to be studied and would be to be selected,
Mm-hmm.
it would only be there until such time that the museum is built.
Okay.
Yep, but if it was a different site, it could be a permanent location.
Great.
But yes, that's a good distinction. And I was gonna mention too, the site that you mentioned, Commissioner Getz, that the city was looking at before. That site, I mean, that could come up in the feasibility. That's within the area, so that could come up as a potential site too. Okay, thank you. My next one is regarding the Long Lake House and dock demolition. So you'll remember, I think the last time we talked about this was, it's been a few months, but you'll recall that the city had purchased the property next to Long Lake Park, and the house wasn't in the plans. The property included a house, a garage, and a dock. And the city's working toward removal through the small works roster. So the bids for the project are due March 25th, so next week, with the project potentially happening in early summer, pending a contract approval. So just kind of an update to let you know that that's coming up. McKinney House, I did just kind of touch on earlier, but we do have that scheduled for council's consideration and discussion on March 24th. They won't be taking action on the 24th because it's a work session. But that's something that they may recommend to move forward to a council meeting for action. So that's coming up. Museum update, the new museum opened January 15th. I think we haven't had a commission meeting since then. Maybe I already said it, but anyway, I know that we had our joint work session. It's going really well. There's a lot of visitors. We're very excited about the high traffic location. So joint work session, just want to thank everyone for their participation. For those of you that came and contributed, and particularly to Vice Chair Keough and Chair Wyckoff for all of your presentation and working with the council on that. So that's all I have.
High five.
Last thing we have on the agenda, and so we no longer have to motion to adjourn, so call that at 7:15.
I would love to make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
You can make an unofficial motion.
An official motion. I so move that we adjourn.
We don't need to.
Second.
Good night, everybody.
You don't need to vote, huh?